Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at a topic that's been getting a lot of buzz lately, and for good reason, I think. It's the gut-brain connection.
The gut-brain
Yeah.
connection.
How what's going on in our bellies can actually impact our brains. You mentioned you're interested in how things beyond like just diet and exercise can, affect your kids' well-being.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a huge area of interest for me.
Well, get this. What if I told you their gut could be like low-key messing with their mood?
Messing with your mood.
Uh-huh. Like
Oh.
their focus, even their behavior, all because of what's happening in their gut.
Hmm. Interesting.
It's pretty wild. I was reading about this little girl, Maya. She was 5 and like having a rough time in school.
Oh, no.
Yeah, irritable, couldn't focus, having these like emotional outbursts, and her parents were like at their wits' end.
Oh, that's so tough. I can't imagine.
They like tried everything, but then they started looking into this gut brain thing.
Okay, so what do they do?
They revamped Maya's diet, cut out processed foods, lowered her sugar, and really focused on giving her fiber-rich stuff.
Fiber-rich stuff, like what?
Fruits, veggies, the good stuff. Oh, and whole grains. They even started giving her yogurt every day, the kind with live cultures.
Yogurt with live cultures. What's that got to do with anything?
Well, it turns out those live cultures are actually good bacteria that can help balance out the gut. And guess what?
Right.
It was like flipping a switch. Within a couple of months, Maya was a different kid.
Really? No way.
Seriously, her parents were amazed. And it all ties back to this thing called the microbiome.
Okay, so the microbiome, remind me what that is again.
It's basically all the trillions of bacteria and microorganisms living in our gut, like a whole little world in there.
Oh, yeah, right. So we have like a whole civilization living inside us.
Yeah.
And they're helping us out.
Exactly. They help us digest food, make vitamins, and even like train our immune systems.
Wow. So basically, our kids have this bustling city of microbes inside them, and it's impacting them in ways we're only beginning to understand.
Totally. And one of the craziest parts is this thing called the gut-brain axis.
The gut-brain axis. What's that?
Imagine like a super highway between your gut and your brain with tons of signals going back and forth.
So like they're like sending messages to each other.
Yeah. And they're sending messages through this thing called the vagus nerve, which is like a direct hotline between the gut and brain. Then there are the chemicals the microbiome makes, like serotonin and dopamine.
Wait a minute, serotonin. I thought that was like the happy chemical made in the brain.
It is, but get this, over 90% of it is actually made in the gut.
Seriously. You're kidding.
Nope. So if your kid's gut isn't happy, their serotonin levels could be off, which messes with their mood and behavior.
That's wild. So it's not just about digestion. The gut plays a part in how our kids feel and act.
Exactly. And there's like a ton of research to prove it.
Like what?
Well, this one study in JAMA Pediatrics found that kids with a more diverse gut microbiome had lower anxiety. And the real interesting thing is it wasn't just any bacteria. Certain types were linked to less anxiety, like bifidobacterium and lactobacillus. Have you heard of those?
Bifidobacterium and lactobacillus. Maybe? Are those like the good guys?
They're the anxiety busters, apparently. This study and others are pointing to specific types of bacteria in the gut that might be affecting mood and behavior.
So all these little bacteria are working together, sending signals to the brain and producing chemicals that influence our kids' moods. That's amazing. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It really is. And are there other ways the microbiome affects kids?
Well, there's this whole area of research looking at the link between gut health and neurodevelopmental disorders, like ADHD and autism.
Oh, wow. So maybe addressing gut health could help kids with those conditions.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh,
Researchers are still looking into that, but there's some really interesting stuff coming out.
Like-
Well, there was this groundbreaking study done with mice. They took anxious mice and gave them gut bacteria from relaxed mice.
Hold on, they swapped gut bacteria?
They did. And guess what? The anxious mice chilled out.
Seriously, no way. Just from getting different bacteria?
Yep. It was a huge turning point, showing just how powerful the microbiome can be in influencing behavior. And now they're starting to do similar research in humans, which is pretty exciting.
That's incredible. But how are parents supposed to make sense of all this and figure out what to do? It's a lot to take in.
I know, right? It can feel overwhelming. But don't worry, we're going to break it down and give you some practical tips.
Okay, good. So what can parents actually do to support their child's gut health? Where do we even start?
Well, it all starts with what we feed those little tummies. We need to, nourish the good bacteria, and create a happy gut environment.
So like giving them those good bacteria you mentioned.
Exactly. Probiotics, those live bacteria you find in yogurt and fermented foods.
Yeah. So when I give my son that yogurt with live cultures, I'm giving his gut a boost of good bacteria.
You got it. But those good bacteria need food too. That's where prebiotics come in.
Prebiotics, what are those?
Think of prebiotics as like fertilizer for your gut garden.
A gut garden.
Yeah, it's a good way to think about it. So prebiotics are types of fiber that the good bacteria love to eat. So you're not just adding good bacteria, you're helping the ones already there to flourish.
Okay, I get it. Probiotics are the workers, prebiotics are the fuel. So where do we find these gut-friendly foods? Like, give me some examples.
Fruits, veggies, those whole grains we talked about, and legumes are all awesome sources of prebiotics. And for probiotics, think yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi,
Hmm.
all those tangy fermented goodies.
So basically, we need to shift to more whole, unprocessed foods, which, let's be real, can be a struggle with picky eaters. Any tips on getting kids to actually eat this stuff?
Oh, I hear you. It can be tricky. But, like, a little creativity can go a long way. You can try sneaking veggies into smoothies, making fun fruit skewers, or even getting them involved in the cooking process.
Ooh, that's a good idea, getting them involved. Okay, what about things to avoid?
The big no-nos are highly processed foods and added sugars. Those can mess up the balance of bacteria and lead to inflammation, which is bad news for the gut-brain connection.
Less junk, more real food. Got it. Anything else parents should keep in mind?
This might surprise you, but get them outside and let them play in the dirt.
Wait, seriously? Dirt? I thought we were supposed to keep them clean.
I know, right? It sounds counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but being exposed to all sorts of microbes in nature is good for gut health. Playing in the dirt, interacting with animals, it all introduces a bigger variety of healthy bacteria.
So sending them out to get dirty is good for their gut. I kind of love that.
Right. It's all about diversifying that microbiome.
Mm-hmm.
And one last thing. While antibiotics are super important for fighting infections, they can also wipe out both good and bad bacteria in the gut. So use them responsibly and always talk to your pediatrician before giving them to your child.
So it's not just about what we feed our kids, it's about their whole lifestyle.
Exactly. It's about supporting their gut health in every way we can.
This is all so fascinating. It really makes you think about things differently. But we'll have to save the rest of this conversation for part 2. We're going to take a deeper dive into the latest research on the gut-brain connection in early childhood development. Stay tuned.
Can't wait.
Welcome back, everyone. So we've been talking about all the amazing things our gut microbiome does for us, but we know that the early years are really important for development in general.
Well, absolutely. Those early years are critical for shaping the gut microbiome and, in turn, influencing a child's overall health and development.
So are we talking babies' first few years?
Exactly. The gut microbiome is rapidly evolving during infancy and early childhood, and the composition of the microbiome during these formative years can have long-lasting effects.
Okay, so it's not just about keeping babies fed, it's about setting them up for success down the road.
Exactly. And one of the most impactful things parents can do during those early years is to breastfeed.
Oh yeah, breast is best, right? I've heard that, but why is breast milk so good for the gut specifically?
Well, breast milk is a fantastic source of prebiotics. Those are the nutrients that feed the good bacteria in the gut. So breastfeeding helps establish a healthy and diverse gut microbiome right from the start.
Ah, so it's like giving those good bacteria a gourmet buffet from day one.
Exactly. And not only that, breast milk also contains antibodies from the mother, which help to strengthen the baby's immune system. It's like a 2-for-1 deal.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about babies who aren't breastfed? Can parents still help their little ones develop a healthy gut?
Absolutely. There are many excellent infant formulas available that are specifically designed to support gut health. They often include prebiotics and probiotics that are similar to what's found naturally in breast milk.
That's good to know. So it's not an all or nothing situation. Are there other things that can influence a baby's microbiome in those first few years?
Even the way a baby is born can impact their gut microbiome.
Really? How so?
Well, babies born vaginally are exposed to a different set of microbes as they pass through the birth canal. It's their first exposure to the world of bacteria, and it helps seed their gut with beneficial microbes.
So they're getting their first dose of bacteria straight from mom?
Yep. And babies born via C-section get their first dose of bacteria from the hospital environment, which can be quite different.
Wow, that's fascinating. So from the moment they're born, their microbiome is already being shaped.
Exactly. And this initial colonization of bacteria can have long-term consequences for the development of the immune system and overall health. It's amazing how much we're learning about these early influences.
It seems like we're only just beginning to understand the full extent of the gut-brain connection, huh?
Absolutely, we are. The field of research is relatively new, but we're learning more every day. It's an incredibly exciting time to be studying the intricate relationship between the gut and the brain and how we can support it throughout our children's lives.
It makes you wonder where we'll be in 10, 20 years. Will we be able to personalize gut health interventions based on a child's specific microbiome? Will we see gut-based therapies becoming the norm?
I think those are definitely possibilities.
Hmm.
Imagine being able to analyze a child's gut microbiome and then provide specific dietary changes or probiotic supplements to address issues like anxiety or focus, or maybe even sleep problems.
Wow, that would be like having a personalized gut health toolkit. That would be incredible.
I know, right? And it could revolutionize how we approach children's health and well-being. But for now, I think the most important thing is for parents to be aware of this connection and start incorporating gut-healthy habits into their families' lives.
So those simple changes we talked about earlier, emphasizing whole foods, limiting those processed foods and sugars, getting those kids outside, all of that can truly make a real difference.
Absolutely. Every meal, every snack, every playtime is an opportunity to nourish those trillions of tiny microbes that are working so hard to keep our kids healthy and happy.
This has been so enlightening. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on my role as a parent. It's not just about providing food and shelter, it's about cultivating this amazing internal garden that is impacting their world in so many profound ways.
I love that analogy. It really captures the essence of what we're talking about.
Mhm.
And remember, if you have any concerns about your child's gut health or their behavior, please don't hesitate to talk to your pediatrician. They can provide personalized advice and guidance based on your child's individual needs.
That's such great advice. Well, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive. In part three, we're going to shift gears a bit and explore some fascinating research being done on the gut-brain connection in adults. So stay tuned for that.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back. It's amazing to think about how what we eat can impact our kids' mental and emotional well-being, like their mood and all that.
It really is. Those tiny microbes are powerful little things. We've seen how they can impact so much. Mood, focus, behavior, even play a role in some pretty complex stuff like neurodevelopmental disorders. It's like we're just starting to understand this whole hidden world inside us.
Yeah, I keep thinking back to Maya and how such small changes to her diet made such a difference. It's inspiring. Like, we can really make a difference in our kids' lives just by focusing on their gut health.
Absolutely. It's a huge opportunity, I think. Every time we pick an apple over a candy bar, every time we send them out to play in the dirt instead of staying glued to a screen, it's like we're taking care of those trillions of tiny helpers that are keeping our kids healthy.
It's like we're not just feeding our kids, we're feeding all those little bacteria too.
It's a pretty amazing partnership when you think
Yeah.
about it. And the more we learn, the more we realize how interconnected our bodies are.
This whole deep dive has made me completely rethink how I see the gut. It's not just a digestive system anymore. It's like this super complex, super influential part of the body, all linked up with the brain.
It's a whole new way of looking at things.
Yeah.
And the research is just exploding right now, which is super exciting. I think
Yeah.
we're going to see some major breakthroughs in how we understand and treat a whole bunch of conditions. Everything
Yeah.
from anxiety and depression to things like autism and ADHD.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what the future holds. Will we be able to, like, personalized gut health plans based on someone's microbiome, like tailor-made just for them?
I think it's definitely possible. We're already developing tests that can analyze your gut microbiome and point out any imbalances. And as we learn more about the gut-brain connection, I think we'll see even more targeted and effective treatments.
That would be amazing. But for now, I think the takeaway is that we can make a real difference in our kids' gut health just by making good choices.
Totally. Focusing on those key things we talked about, you know, lots of whole foods, fiber, cutting back on processed foods and sugars, getting them outside and using antibiotics carefully, it all adds up.
And if parents see any big changes in their child's behavior, or if they're worried about their gut health, they should definitely talk to their pediatrician.
For sure. They can give advice and help figure out what's best for each child.
Well, we've learned so much in this deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of the gut-brain connection and how important it is for our kids' well-being. It's not just about physical health, it's about their mental and emotional health too. And the best part is there's so much we can do to support it. So to all our listeners out there, keep those guts happy and those minds thriving. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. It's been a pleasure diving into this topic with you.